then we have Miss Lori Christopher and Eric Christ. And am I missing anyone else that I should recognize? All right, we also have our city manager here, Mr. Brian Johnson. He'll be speaking this evening as well. So without delay, we'll get started. I'll go ahead and introduce Mayor Mike Mason. He's going to come up and speak with y'all, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Welcome. I appreciate you guys coming out to the annual C.O.P.S meeting. A lot of familiar faces and a lot going on. And so you don't want to hear from me, and I want to get right to the program. But let's take a minute and just have a moment of silence for Uvalde, Texas. So if you bow your heads. Thank you. We're also going to hear from, and I'm kind of stealing Matt's thunder here, but we're going to hear from Chief Tony Lockhart, the Chief of Police for Gwinnett County Public Schools. It's a timely topic, and Tony's glad to come spend with us and talk to us about how he keeps our kids safe. And I'm sure, you know, I see a lot of young faces, a lot of older faces, but that's something that's on everybody's heart. The main reason I just want to just say a few words is I say it every C.O.P.S meeting. The responsibility, what's the main responsibility of any city? Public safety. It's our responsibility, okay? It's not the police's responsibility. They fulfill the obligation for us, and they do it in a fine manner, and we're very confident. Two men I want you to meet tonight, Chief McClure and Major Restrepo. I'm sorry, your name is very similar to my wife's doctor, and I wanted to say her name. I apologize for that, Eddie. But I want you to meet those men because in the past, when we've had C.O.P.S meetings, people would come up and shake hands with the Chief of Police of Gwinnett County, Danny Porter, the DA. You knew them and they knew you, and I want us to go back to that because they are our police department, and we have complete confidence in them. One of the other things that the city is responsible for is supporting the police department. And in that regard, our city manager, Brian Johnson, is going to come up here in just a minute and give you an update on our camera programs. Most of you guys have heard me talk about that a number of times. He's going to tell you where we are on installation of cameras. But also, there's a very exciting new program that we're pursuing. And Chris Lindenau is going to be here tonight. He's got his company right here in the city. He's going to talk about that for just a few minutes, and then we're going to move on. So without any further ado from me, Brian.
Thank you, sir. All right, good evening, everybody. So as the mayor said, you know, one of our responsibilities with the resources that we have is to do what we can to support Gwinnett County Police as they fulfill that obligation for providing the safe community. And one of the ways that we've found that we can do it is using technology as a force multiplier. So you've heard us talk in the past about using cameras to help the police department with the ability to collect data or use it to investigate or prosecute crime. And it kind of started, if you remember, with license plate reader cameras that are at certain intersections that take a snapshot of license plates coming through those intersections. Those LPR cameras, which we are up to 50 at intersections that Major Restrepo and his team have identified as ones that provide the highest value, they have used, and you can ask him when he gets up here, they have used it on a number of occasions to solve and apprehend a number of people that have committed crimes here or traveling through here and have committed it elsewhere. In addition to that, we also know that with the creation of our town center and the increased activity there, to a degree we've created a good problem, but a problem in that we're attracting a lot of people to one location. When you do that, you're always bound to get knuckleheads who do things like destroy property or get into altercations with people. And so we also are almost complete with installing 68 video cameras at the town center Those are video cameras for use by Gwinnett PD as they look to make sure that's a safe environment. Now, if you think about those cameras, the city already has 50 LPR and 68 video cameras. Well, how do we combine those and make it easy for Gwinnett PD to access and potentially provide a mechanism for all the other cameras that exist in the city, but they're not part of the cities? Meaning, there are lots of businesses that have video cameras of their own that would love nothing more than for the police department to have access to or just knowledge of. So when you think about how to do that, we happen to be privileged and lucky to have a company here that actually has solved the way to do that. We have a corporate tenant of the city, a company called C.O.P.S, a company that very much is in keeping with the technology companies that are here or are coming here in a lot of different innovative areas. And I'm going to bring Chris Linda now, the CEO of C.O.P.S, up, and he's going to talk about a platform that they have in which we can take and at least offer to the owners of those cameras an opportunity to link those all in with the city so that there is a network of cameras as diverse as we can get it across the city, but through one source, for one mechanism for the Gwinnett PD to get access to utilize as they make this community safe. So without further ado, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want you to go through this program real quick, because at the end of it, we're going to encourage those who are in a position to become a part of this. So, Chris.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, good evening, everyone. Maybe there's some feedback on that. Like, back away a little bit. I've been told my voice is a little loud, so I'll try to distance myself from the microphone. Does this sound good? Okay. So, thank you so much for coming out tonight and spending time with us. Mayor, thank you. Brian, thank you as well. I will start by saying that I am a proud resident of Peachtree Corners, and I intend to be for many more years. One of the things I love about this city is that we're pulling a lot of innovation to it from in and around the Atlanta metropolitan area. And for those of us in the technology sector, this is always a challenge, because if you graduated from Georgia Tech, you were taking that degree and you were hopping on a plane out to San Francisco and Silicon Valley to see if you could swim with the big fish in the software world. Well, I'm proud to say to you that the big fish are right here in the backyard of Peachtree Corners, and we intend to stay. And that talent's staying right here. And the city manager and the mayor have been a big part of that. I want to extend my gratitude to you. You've made it a very accommodating place for me to start up shop, and I'm very happy to be a business owner here in the city. So, what are we here to talk about tonight? Well, let me just start by saying we started this company called C.O.P.S in June of 2019. And the reason we started this company is because we saw a real gap in law enforcement and the ability to pull in disparate technology sets to make them usable. What does that mean? We all understand camera technology. We understand radios, right? Law enforcement uses radios. We understand that they have vehicles and they need to know where their officers are at any given time in those vehicles. We understand that they have 911 dispatch systems. The challenge in law enforcement, and I think the chief can attest to this, is that those before C.O.P.S were all different systems. So you had an operator for the 911 system, you had an operator for the video system, you had an operator for the license plate reader system, and you go down the list. So we solved this challenge, and we deployed, and we actually deployed in April of 2020 in the city of Minneapolis. That was our first city that we deployed. Those of you probably are well aware that a month later, what happened? Public safety changed eternally in May of 2020 as a result of the George Floyd incident. So the concept of just putting more law enforcement in the field was no longer viable as you were dealing with defund movements and hiring and retention issues. So this is a preamble for me saying that we were born out of necessity to address an underlying issue that we knew was not just unique to Minneapolis, and that was that law enforcement needed new, novel ways to collaborate with the community. They could not go it alone. They needed their business community stakeholders to contribute back to that understanding of what was going on in the city. And so with that, let's go ahead and kick it to the next slide, if you wouldn't mind. Talk a little bit about a program that I've been working with the city manager and the entire team in Peachtree Corners to roll out here in Peachtree Corners, and we call it Connect Peachtree Corners. And the intent of this program is to allow GCPD, Gwinnett County Police Department, to work more closely with the business community in sharing of, among other things, video data. Now the next thing, please go to the next slide. I want to start by saying, yes, this will improve real-time response. It will enable law enforcement to have a clearer, quicker operational understanding of what's going on in and around the Peachtree Corners community. It will allow, for example, things like graffiti on the bridge to not just be something that we respond to after the fact, but perhaps interdict. It could be, unfortunately, a hit and run, which does occur, now gets resolved in real time as opposed to having to lead an investigation in days, if not weeks, to follow up. It could result in immediate response to a street racing incident, right? And I know that GCPD has done a tremendous job as of late of addressing that issue. But it could be just everyday issues like traffic and understanding where we're having, maybe some difficulty with respect to people getting in and out of town center. It doesn't all have to be situations under duress, but ultimately the goal is to allow the business community to give back and to work in concert with their partners in law enforcement. One thing I want to also emphasize is that this is a completely voluntary program, and the owners of these video sources have full control over the circumstances on which they share and whether or not they share. They can, through the flip of a switch, opt out of the program at any time. So it's very important to emphasize that we want to make sure that privacy is the bedrock foundation of everything we do, because I, as a fellow resident, don't want to concede my privacy rights in order to improve public safety and security here in Peachtree Corners. And that's something I think we all share. Ultimately, what's the objective? We want to enhance the quality of life here in Peachtree Corners. And what happens when you do that? You incentivize people to move here, businesses to move here, and that contributes to the general well-being of the community. Okay, next slide, please. So how does it work? So, well, that sounds great, but really now let's get down to brass tacks. What, in fact, are we doing? Now, it's a two-part process. Step one is a camera registry. The camera registry is very simple. My name is Chris Lindenau. My email address is crlindenau@gmail.com. I have 4 cameras, and my cell phone number is 770-500-2494. That's it. It's all I needed to do to allow our partners at Gwinnett County Police Department to be able to reach out to us more efficiently if there's an incident. And what are we doing commonly? What do we see most commonly is the way that video is shared. Nextdoor, Facebook, various social media outlets. The problem with those social media outlets is they're not private, and they exist in perpetuity. Anything that you put out there stays in the ether forever. So this is a way that law enforcement can efficiently reach out to multiple stakeholders while preserving their privacy and right to the video to receive that video very quickly in response to an investigation, so that ultimately they can resolve more investigations more efficiently. That's the goal of this program. Then there's an opportunity to kind of take that to the next level. So if you'll hit the next slide, please. This is where this concept of camera integration comes in. So step one is registry. Step two is I'm the forum. I have a camera facing the entry to the forum. That camera is in a public-facing area. I have the right, as North American Properties, which is the landlord of that property, to actually afford access into the system on a live basis. So what that means is live video streaming into the system. Again, want to emphasize full control by the business stakeholder. And another thing, and I've spoken to Brian about this, we want to start with the business community. We want to start in non-residential areas with respect to live camera integration. Okay, this is really about public-facing areas, town center, the parks. And what is that going to enable our partners at GCPD to do? Well, I think if you would speak to them, they'll tell you that that will allow them to, if there's an Amber Alert, know immediately where the child went missing, who they left with. If there's a vehicular incident, understand the dynamics of that incident in real time. And of course, up until FUSIS, investigators would have to go knock on a door, they'd have to figure out who owned the camera, they would wait several days, if not weeks, to get a response back, and all that time is time that they can ill afford while they're trying to address serious situations. Now that process happens like that. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we've now done in 110 cities around the country. And it just happened to be homegrown here in Peachtree Corners. So I'll pause there and see if there's any questions. We have a couple other things we can share with you, but I wanted to pause because I think I've gone over. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions about the constitutionality of what you're basically proposing is mass surveillance run by the police. And you're rolling it out similar to how China rolled out their mass surveillance system, starting with businesses and claiming it was public facing and only in these sections, and then opening it up and eventually demanding that private citizens also include their integration of cameras. And so my question is, what's the constitutionality behind any of this? Like, to me, I just feel like now I'm being watched every time I go out of my house. You say the police have it, but do they need a warrant to access any of that information? Like, to me, this is incredibly scary.
So I appreciate that. That's a very important question. We're talking about public areas, for one. We're talking about areas that are already surveilled. So at its core, nothing changes. What we're talking about is expediting the process of access to that video. Law enforcement does nothing different with it as a result of said access. It's just that that process for pulling down that video is faster. That's it. And we want to honor and respect the Constitution, constitutional rights of everybody in this room, myself included. I'm a former naval officer. I swore an oath to this country to protect the Constitution. You will find no one in this room that believes in the Constitution more than me. But I will also tell you that if there's a missing child, I want that child found. And this enables that to
Even at the
occur.
cost of other individual rights, right? And the whole point of the Constitution is you're weighing these rights against each other, and one person's is not greater than the other. Right? The system basically does away with that.
I appreciate your comments on that. We're going to try very hard to make sure that everybody has a chance to opt in. If they don't want to, they don't have to. Other questions?
Yeah.
Please.
Who possesses the raw data? How's it maintained? Where is it maintained? How accessible is it to the public?
So there is no raw data that's retained anywhere unless there's an incident. And if there's an incident, then that data operates in accordance with the investigation that the law enforcement agency is occurring with respect to criminal justice
It has to be
information.
retained. You can't say there's going to be an investigation ahead of time. You have to retain it for some period of time. So how long is it retained for? Where is it retained?
Right.
And does the public have access to that?
So the way that these video systems work that are already deployed around the city are what we call FIFO. So these recorders that are already at the businesses are called FIFO. It's first in, first out. We're all familiar with this concept because many of us have DirecTV, and that is in effect a FIFO system. It records on the loop, records over itself. If there is an incident at a location, and again, a public area where there is no presumption of privacy in a public area with respect to these video systems, you have already gone into the public domain, and these cameras are simply looking at that area already. Law enforcement has the ability to pull down that video pursuant to an incident, and then it's retained in accordance with whatever the incident guidelines are for that type of incident. That's a law enforcement consideration. So nothing changes on that.
Is it retained on your servers? Where is it?
No. So what they are able to do is pull down video in real time from those locations. And in certain circumstances, A business owner may elect to allow what we call a pre-report buffer of up to about a day at that local system to allow that investigator to go back on their system to pull down video in much the same manner that they do today with their own system.
So-
Right? That's at the discretion of the business
So
owner.
it's retained for a day, is it?
Whatever the business owner decides, but in most cases, it's about a day.
Just give us a picture of it, because otherwise it engenders distrust by the public. So just give us a clear picture of it.
Sure.
Please.
Yeah. So I think that's a discussion to be had with the business owner that shares in the system. Sure. Please.
How about facial recognition? That's one of the big Chinese
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Is this gonna have that capability in it?
No facial recognition as a policy of the company. We don't do anything along those lines. I think we feel, and I'm really kind of behind this as a ethos for the company that, to the lady's comment in the back, that's where you start getting into profiling, you start cataloging information on people. We don't want to do that. Again, what we want to do with this system is simply expedite sharing. Not do anything different than these systems are doing today. You walk into Wendy's or you walk into Harvey's, there are surveillance assets already there. This is simply allowing law enforcement quicker access to resolve incidents more quickly. It's not changing anything about the way those systems operate. Yes, sir.
I see a lot of 10 minutes, I'm all 100% support police, because they're amazing. The question that just popped up to me was, what is this used for? Is it only when something's been reported? Or are you gonna have a slippery slope and say that they start using the back against and start, looking at this business before something happens to try to do that?
That's absolutely right. So this is an important question, and I don't know if everybody can hear in the back of the room. It's kind of like, what are the circumstances that a video would be shared with law enforcement? And the precipitant for that is the 911 call. So again, going back to same rule of thumb, we want to operate within the guidelines and constraints that we already operate within. And that is, there is a 911 call, there is an incident at that location that precipitates that access. We take that one step further. Any access is fully audited in the system. Again, we've done this in Orlando and Atlanta. We've done this in California. And so it's really important for law enforcement to be able to assert to themselves, but also to you, that they're using the data in accordance with, circumstances that would justify it. Yeah. If I may, I don't know if we have the ability to play audio, but I'd like to actually share. Okay. I will leave my contact information up here. I would absolutely encourage members of the community to come, talk, have a conversation. If you'd like to, you can call me. Happy to answer questions that you have. I think you'll also see, if you do a little research on what we've done in the outlying area. Just last week in Atlanta, a 74-year-old lady went missing. She became disoriented, walked down the street, downtown Atlanta in the middle of the night. The officers were able to locate her because of the system. They were able to actually reunite her with her family as a result of the use of this system. Capabilities that did not previously exist for the city of Atlanta and Atlanta Police Department reunited somebody with their family that could have led to a pretty difficult situation. So that's our goal, and I want to make sure that I make myself accessible to all of you if you have any questions. So I think probably need to stop at this point, but feel free to follow up with me, and thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it. Well, we'll go ahead, if you can get the lights for us. I don't think we need the presentation yet. I'm going to introduce now the chief of the school resource for Gwinnett County, Officer Tony Lockhart. We're going to let him speak. We figured we would start with him, with everything that happened on Tuesday with Texas, just so he could go over. I'm a parent. I have a son at Norcross High, and I got some emails about increased activity, not because they had any kind of relevant issues, but we'll let him speak to that. And if we could hold our questions for the police officers or for the Gwinnett County Police part till they're all finished speaking, because they're each going to have a presentation on different things from statistics to general safety. Thank you. Thank you very much, Matt. Am I good on the microphone?
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Mayor Mason, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak to you, for the invitation. I guess a bigger thank you for all of you citizens in Gwinnett County coming out and showing an interest in your city, in Gwinnett County, and so forth. That speaks volumes with everything going on. To touch bases in regards to the increased police presence on our schools, because of the tragic events that happened Tuesday out in Texas, we decided to increase our police presence, increase patrols at all of our schools in Gwinnett County, the 140 schools that we have, elementary, middle, high school. That night, I reached out to Chief McClure, to the Sheriff's Department, and all the local chiefs within Gwinnett County, all the city jurisdictions. And I can say this, and I'm not just blowing smoke. You have such a phenomenal group of law enforcement agencies, chiefs of police within Gwinnett County. You will not find this in a lot of counties, the way we work together. I sent out a text message, just say 7 o'clock, and said, hey, can you guys increase your patrols at our elementary schools especially, and so forth. Tomorrow it's the last day of school because of everything that's going on. It was almost instantaneous, the responses that I got from the different chiefs of police, from Chief McClure, Chief Headley, Chief Walker. It's almost instantaneous. Yep, we'll be there, we'll be there, we'll be there, tell us what you need. That is the type of collaborative relationships that the police departments in Gwinnett County have with each other. You won't find that in a lot of places. Sometimes you get agencies are, stepping on other people's toes and so forth. It's phenomenal here. And once again, I'm not saying that just to say that. I want you folks to know what kind of resources and assets you have inside Gwinnett County. So, so a little bit about myself. Been with Gwinnett County School Police for, since 2004. How many years that makes. I was had the great advantage to work at Gwinnett County Police for 10 years before coming over to the school police. And that's what helps a lot, is that we've maintained very positive relationships with the agencies that we've come from, that we're able to reach out to them and build those relationships and so forth. In regards to school safety, we have a lot of different features in place. We have probably over 10,000 surveillance cameras within our schools and so forth to help us with any kind of incidents that occur and so forth. We have the visitor management system. It's called VMS at your school. So when you go, you have to ring the doorbell to be allowed access and so forth. We have another thing that's called is the emergency notification system. It's, for lack of better terms, we call it the big blue button. It's a button in the front office and strategically located at other places within the school. If there's an emergency, they can hit that button. We get immediate video feed inside our command center, and an immediate video feed goes to Gwinnett County Police and their command center also. So if there is an incident going on, they have a real-time live feed. We have a real-time live feed also. If there's an emergency like that, Gwinnett County Police are going to respond. Any other local jurisdictions are also going to respond along with our SROs to that incident. Right now with Gwinnett County School Police, we have 96 sworn police officers, including myself, and we have 2 officers housed in every high school, 1 officer at the middle school locations, and then we'll have an officer also at the specialty schools, Paul Duke, certain locations like that, McClure, where they don't have athletic programs, they're not as big of a high school and so forth. And then we also have some officers stationed at elementary schools throughout the county. So once again, thank you for coming. I just wanted to come and give a brief overview of Gwinnett County School Police and what we offer. I'm going to stick around if you have any questions. We'd love to talk to you and so forth. I'm going to hand it over to Chief McClure with Gwinnett County Police.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you again to Mayor Mason. I really appreciate everyone coming out. It's good to see this type of support at any event, anything that we're doing in the community.
As Chief Lockhart said, Tony worked with us for a number of years. I had our privilege of working patrol with him for many years, a great cop. And one of the things that we see, and I want to kind of give a shout to the school police, is that they tend to hire a lot of our officers, right? So on one hand, I'm mad because they're taking our people, but on the other hand, I know for a fact that they're taking high quality individuals, so I'm very thankful to Tony. So again, a little bit about myself. I've served with the Gwinnett County Police Department now for 27 years. If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. This is truly what I was born to do. I wanted to be a police officer since, that kid that they went around the room and said, what do you want to be? I was the kid that said I want to be a cop, and I did it. But a little bit about the police department. Right now, we have roughly about 650 police officers. That's spread across 6 police precincts. We have a special operations group, which includes SWAT, K9, DUI. And then, of course, we have our detectives and our special investigators. The department is healthy. We've been through a lot the last 2 years. I'll be the first to say it. When we look at this COVID-19 pandemic, it took a tremendous toll, I think, on our personnel from a mental standpoint, because the officers and our civilians, let's not forget them, didn't have an opportunity to stay home, right? We still got to come in and provide these services. But what I really love about what I've seen is the resiliency of our officers, right? And that's the tools that we keep trying to put in them. The older officers like me that have pensions, it's easy. I mean, the bottom line is you're going to get up and come to work. But for our younger folks, that's the piece that we got to continue to work on, to understand that not every day in law enforcement is going to be a great day, just like your jobs. Things that you work in, they're just not easy. And we've got to just keep building in that resiliency piece. Again, over the last 2 years, we lost a lot of police officers. And some of those, as a police department, I can't necessarily compete with, right? So an officer chooses to go work for the school police. Not going to work nights anymore. They're going to have weekends and holidays off. And quite frankly, they'll be paid probably a little bit better on average when they go over. So those are things that are difficult for us to kind of handle. But the one thing I will tell you is we will never, ever feel sorry for ourselves, right? We're short-handed, guess what? Everybody else out here is short too. We're still going to get it done. I promise you, the 650, 670 officers that we have are committed to just that, right? We're going to go out and get it done. If I have to go out there and hump the call myself, that's what I believe in. As far as the police department, again, the core police department, remember, and I'm going to stay at about 30,000 feet. I'll let Major Restrepo come up shortly. He'll give you a little bit more details, but generally speaking, remember, Gwinnett County police officers receive about 800 hours of training before they hit patrol or before they go out and ride with a training officer. The state of Georgia only requires about 400 hours. Right? So we really give our officers double the amount of training before they hit the streets for day one, okay? They're going to ride with a training officer for about 8 weeks, and then they're going to quote-unquote be cut loose to go out and patrol. One of the things that's important to me is the mission statement. The mission statement of the Gwinnett County Police Department is to provide professional law enforcement services in a fair and unbiased manner in order to protect the property and the citizens and improve our quality of life, right? So 4 components, think about that. Professional law enforcement services, that's the very first thing that I want. Officer comes to your house, works a traffic accident, investigates a crime professionally, right? In a fair and unbiased manner. We all know what that means, okay? Whether we're policing in Peachtree corners or whether we're policing somewhere in the community that may not be as affluent, right? We need to treat everybody the exact same. Our citizens deserve it. Right, so fair and compassionate manner, we got to protect our property, right? That's what we're talking about using this technology. If someone wants to come and visit Peachtree Corners, right, in my mind, the worst thing that can happen is for that person to be a victim of any type of crime, whether it's a car break-in or something different. That tends to ruin the whole experience, right? So we want to keep our folks safe, and that's important to us. I will tell you that, again, let's go back. We talk about George Floyd. We talk about some of the things that have been born out of that, and rightly so. I think citizens have a right to be mad, right? But we took a look at ourselves. We took a look internally at how we do things. We had several hundred protesters show up in Gwinnett County, different parts of Gwinnett. And I'm very proud of this community. You know why? Because throughout the whole summer, we didn't have one police officer who was injured during those protests. As important, we didn't have one citizen, not one, who was injured during those protests. Right? We didn't have any property damage. So there's a way to do things. If we communicate with our citizens and we police in a very compassionate manner, we can get things done. People can exercise their rights. So again, I'll be around. If you want to ask me any questions whatsoever, please do. The last thing I want to share with you is just to remember that the Gwinnett County Police Department is a COP.S accredited agency, right? COP.S stands for the Commission for Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. There are 18,000 law enforcement agencies throughout the United States. Roughly 4% enjoyed that accreditation, right? So what does that mean? We're talking about 469 of the best practices, best standards in law enforcement that we have got to meet, right? We've been accredited since 1993, okay? Beyond that, I want to share this with you. So we were accredited as an entire agency. But we also saw this as a voluntary process to have our 911 center and our training center go through an accreditation process, pass them both, right? So now we are what's called Tri-ARC accredited, one of only 25 agencies, listen, in the entire country to enjoy the Tri-ARC accreditation. So again, I want you to be proud of your police department. I want you to demand the best out of your agency. Major Eddie Restrepo, again, he and I have policed here for many, many years. He's a fantastic leader here in the West Precinct. But when you need police services, I want you to have 100% confidence that we're going to be there and we're going to do it right. Okay? So again, I'll be available for any questions that you may have. God bless you all. Okay? Thank you. Again, I'd like to introduce one of my heroes, Major Eddie Restrepo.
Good evening, everyone. I am Eddie Restrepo. I don't have the 27 years, I have 25 years in, as of May 10th. Most of my career actually was appointed back in July of 2020. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to see each other. It's really nice to see a lot of people out here, seeing the smiling faces, and us finally be able to interact with them. And also want to thank Mayor Mason, his wife, everyone from Peachtree Corners. You guys have been super, super supportive, and we really, really appreciate the way we interact and that relationship that we have. So a little bit about myself. Of those 25 years, probably about 20 or so of those years have been kind of in major felony investigations. I've worked homicides, gangs, robbery, other units and things of that nature. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to investigations. And so when I was appointed, I made it a priority to adopt a culture at West Precinct when I came over to really look at trying to find leads right away. And as Chief McClure kind of said, there was issues with attrition. We all know that. We're not the only police. We're not immune to that. Everybody's facing that nationwide. So traditionally, police, when we have issues, we would go out to the community and target those areas. We would go into those areas and we would do a dragnet per se, correct? And everyone would get caught. And sometimes you'd have some bad people, and then you'd have really good law-abiding citizens that would be inconvenienced. They would get questioned, all those other things. Well, that's where technology, where I've got immense respect and appreciation for technology, in that I say this all the time, some already know I say it, but it's tried and true. We're fishing with spears and not nets. We're being purposeful and we're being deliberate. And that's what technology brings to the table. So much that I'm ruling through a doctoral program, and I'm actually doing my doctoral program on police technologies. So it's, for me, it's tremendous. Getting to the finish line, hopefully I should be defending my dissertation in January. So I'm hoping, yeah, it's the grueling part starting now. But I say that in Brian, the mayor, Peachtree Corners, but I also need to say something as far as Gateway 85, okay? We, unfortunately for Peachtree Corners in this area, a lot of our criminal element, unfortunately, comes from Atlanta and south of Atlanta. They'll get a car, they'll steal a car, they'll come up I-85, they'll get off at Jimmy Carter Boulevard, and it's a 50-50 chance of where they're gonna go. They're gonna go left or they're gonna go right. There's nicer things on this side of Peachtree Corners, as the chief said. It's more affluent here, there's nicer things. So with nicer things, obviously, more target for people that wanna take those things. So that's where the technology has played a very crucial role, especially the license plate readers. For us to be able to see those things live time as they happen is tremendous. I can tell you right from the get, we've cleared at least 3 homicides, and we've cleared those within hours because of that technology that otherwise would have gone unsolved. So, something to think about. We've got carjacking crews, we've got crews that come in and do entering autos, all those things. And I'll go through it, but I just kind of wanted to kind of set the tone of how important this technology is. It's, like I said, it's a force multiplier, but also it allows us to be very purposeful and deliberate with our time. We have to be as efficient as possible because we just don't have the amount of officers that we used to have. So, okay, so as for some statistics as far as crimes are concerned, as you can see on the left are kind of like the 9 crimes that we kind of follow as an agency, most do. They've switched it. This was kind of part 1 crimes, but there's the NIBRS aspect, but it's very complicated and all this. So we kind of judge in, as far as precinct commanders and the way we do our jobs is on these crimes here. So if you look for 2021 and you look, like let's just take homicides for instance. In 2021 for Peachtree Corners we had 4. We're almost halfway through the year now, and we're only at 1. Right? That's really good. And so on and so forth. You have 22, we're at 11. Aggravated assaults, those are your shootings, things of that nature. At 64, we're at 10 for the year. Right? Rapes, 11, we're down 2. Residential burglaries, 46 people got their homes broken into. This year, we're at 4. Commercial burglaries, 47, we're at 15. That's the big number now. The entering of, we had 171 last year, and we're at 55. And then lastly, motor vehicle theft, 99. So it's working, guys. It's working. Anywhere across the country, people are talking about crime rates going up and all those things. We're just not experiencing it, but I give that to the technology, the relationships we have with Peachtree Corners, Gateway 85, and everyone else that's been pulling in and understanding and assisting us with the technologies. All right, just to give you kind of, and I think Brian had spoke to this. So we started off with 25 initially. That was one of the first things when I got to Peachtree Corners was to find someone to see who was operating, because they had initially went with one other company. Some things kind of fell through and it just kind of lined up, and they ended up going with this particular company, who's also a local company out of Atlanta. As you can see, for 2021, they recovered almost $1.4 million between Gateway 85 and Peachtree Corners. We arrested 43 people, and then stolen tags 10, warrants served. Now, the bottom figure, just so you know, is Peachtree Corners only. We didn't include Gateway 85, but we're setting the tone there, and I imagine that number is just going to continue to grow as we go on. Does anyone have a question as far as any of those numbers there, or the flock cameras? It's a tremendous, tremendous tool. I can tell you, one of my guys here, Cole Manceda, can you stand up for a sec? We call this a beast in our business. Okay? This guy wakes up in the mornings, he has his Wheaties, goes into the office, he grabs the reports from the night before, and he just starts grinding. He does not stop. He comes in, he pulls the reports, he looks for descriptions, then he goes and looks at the cameras, then he goes and looks at it. Next thing you know, within a few hours, my guys are already stopping, arresting people because of the work that he's put in. But that's collectively through the whole precinct system process, because we've adopted technology and the culture into the West Precinct. Smirk here and smile because it's probably one of my proudest moments as a precinct commander was this here. So we all know these things. I'll be honest, I've talked to citizens that have gotten caught in the middle of these things. It's frightening for them. Well, guess what? It's frightening and disheartening for us when we got to go into the middle of these things with people speeding and doing all those things. The night we caught those drivers, 2 of my sergeants almost got hit by cars. That's how dedicated they were. So these are the details. We know it's a problem. We've gotten, so we've done just about every month and a half, we've done a detail. And that's when we pull a lot of resources together from the department. We pull in precincts, we pull in special ops, we pull in overtime details for officers to come in, and everybody comes in and we just go out there and we really, in a sense, hammer those individuals out here committing those street racing type activities. So April 3rd, I'm sure this went around a whole lot in Peachtree Corners, and that was Easter Sunday, where they took over on Precinct Parkway. Again, Corporal Mancia, along with Corporal Tron, went through video surveillance, got a lot of stuff. They ended up identifying a bunch of people and making some really good quality arrests on that. And then May 1st, I was lucky enough to be working off duty in the district when these guys went out to take care of the May 1st incident, which was the Spalding Drive. So traditionally, why I think a lot of issues we've had with the street races is many of the times we go into these intersections, we break them up, we hit the blue lights, we do it, and then they go off. Then they go somewhere else, they gather up, they get their courage together, and back out again they are. It's all right? So this time, we had a little bit of a different plan. We changed our strategies, we talked a whole lot, and we just figured we'd gonna come in from different sides of the intersections. We've repurposed some equipment that we had, and we were lucky enough to pin down a majority of that intersection and get some of the front vehicles stopped, and it just so happens between Spalding Drive and that next street, it was just perfect. Everybody just lined up there. They couldn't work. They had the gate up at the church. I would say probably 95% skill and 5% luck, but I'll take that 5% luck anytime. So in the end, 26 vehicles impounded, 88 people arrested, 20 of those were juvenile. Really, really well. We're still going through some of those things, attempting to get search warrants for GoPros to try to prove those kind of nexuses and the street racing thing. And it's worked out really well. I have to say, we have seen a fair amount of decrease in those activities since that detail. And if you go out to a lot of the websites, they're saying to stay out of the Jimmy Carter corridor or Peachtree Corners area. So I think what we did worked out. Aftermath, just so you can put some pictures to it. These are all been on the news, but they tear it up. So it was great. I actually have a picture, didn't make it here, but there was probably about 10 record drivers out there. I've never seen that many record drivers on scene, fluorescent, all that good stuff. And then of course that's how we had them stopped. And then we came. I had to order up the bus that they transport the prisoners to and from the jail to go to court and so on and so forth. They brought one of those, and they brought 3 transport vans for us. And I actually had writer's cramp because I was out there writing a bunch of stuff, helping my guys out as well. So unfortunately, this is where I said the scary part goes in. They decided, they get into that pack mentality, they're feeling good, they feel high, and they turn on the Domino's pizza guy who's out here just trying to make a living. So they attacked him, smashed his windows out. We're still trying, we have a decent image of the person, but we're still trying to get that person identified. But he was very upset. I mean, he's just out there delivering pizzas, and he gets his windows smashed and kicked and all that. He doesn't deserve it. That should anger everybody. It angers me, and that's why we were so aggressive on these individuals. Another thing that we've done, you've seen the ag assault numbers going down, but the department recently has been working on it. When I was in CID, I actually introduced ballistics IQ to the department. It's a vigilant product, and it's basically kind of a computer generated where they match up shell casings, and then they match those up to other crimes. And so as that came forward, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chief McClure, we're moving to NIBIN, correct? Right, which is very few. That's another plus for the department. There's very few agencies across the United States that have NIBIN programs. They're very extensive, they're very expensive. There's a lot of rules, but essentially, I'll just give you a scenario. You show up, there's a shooting, we gather up those shell casings, we put them into the NIBIN system, so there's some work that needs to be done. A crime scene tech looks at those, examines them under a microscope, then puts them into the system, and that's linked nationwide through a database by the ATF. And then those matches come up. I think prior to that, we've had almost 150, 160 cases linked together as a result of it. So that's really, really good stuff because cases that otherwise would have been unsolved have now been solved, and there's leads that are generated as a result. So this here, it's a mapping program. So if there's a shooting anywhere in the county, we track it. So us as precinct commanders or those commanders over specialized units or investigation, at any given time can just log in and they'll see where that is. So as a precinct commander, over a month period, I can say, hey, we have some shootings over here. Let's move some assets and resources over there to take care of that. And that might be us calling special investigations. That may us doing some UC work, us going out there and doing some traffic enforcement, and all those type of things, just to lessen the likelihood of that basically flaring up and continuing. So that just went online, I think, in the last couple of weeks.
I will be online this summer, so.
Perfect, yes. All right. And that goes without saying, I said it in the beginning, the relationship that we have, again, with, I say District 1, this is kind of a special place to me. When I went through the academy in 1997, I actually, the chief authorized before I graduated to take a courtesy officer position. It was at the Chelsea Park on Jones Mill, which is now Barrington Hills. I lived there for several years, so I really like Peachtree Corners. Chief will be able to tell you, kind of one of the deal breakers for me taking that position was I wanted West Precinct. And they were able to honor that, and I'm happy to be here. And again, I'm available. I'll stay. Any questions, anything, please. Thank you. Sure.
This new system that's just getting ready to go online.
Yes, ma'am.
Bullets. Do other law enforcement, the smaller law enforcement, say for instance, Norcross.
Yes.
or Milton,
So everyone has access, yes. So essentially what it allows us to do is to do it immediately. So our crime scene techs go out there, they can do it, they can go back, they can log it in right away and go. Your others that don't have that, they get to do it, but they have to fill out an ATF trace form, they have to go in, the ATF picks it up, they take it down, and you're basically put in a pecking order of where you're at with that. So we get those immediate, what it's gonna give us is immediate turnaround results for really good, credible generating leads. Okay, perfect. So just to get the chief, if the cities want to come to us, we'll gladly take them and enter them into the system. I actually take it in the city of Atlanta when I worked homicide. There was multiple times where I would run down to the city of Atlanta and ask them to log in so we can get stuff. So we all help each other, just like you said, in all aspects of it. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that crime was trending down in the Peachtree Corners area
Yes,
the
ma'am.
last year, and
Yes,
that
ma'am.
technology was helping with that.
Yes.
What about other areas of Gwinnett County as a whole?
I think as a whole, we have these monthly meetings, and so to me, I get my numbers set, but I also get the numbers from all the other precincts, and then the upper executive command, they look at those, I look at them as well, and we're trending down in just about every category, I think countywide, with the exception, I think, theft. Yeah, theft and rape, and some of these rapes are kind of not the stranger on stranger, it's just, there was a relationship there, they reported several months, several years later. So as far as like a genuine rape, that's concerning that you have a stranger running around doing bad things. We don't see a lot of those, thankfully. Anyone have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk just a little bit about gang activity in this area?
Yeah.
And whether, is there a dedicated unit in this precinct?
Yes, absolutely. I'll brag on my guys there too, absolutely. Anytime I get a chance to do it. So I have 4 rotations, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. They work 24 hours, 7 days a week. Aside from that, I have an administrative unit, and then I also have a community response team. And the name suggests exactly what they do. They respond to the community and things that come up. They also work hand in hand with the gang unit, so we'll tackle a lot of those issues together. Just recently, I think we talked to some folks in Dunwoody because the corridor down Winners Chapel, they started seeing some graffiti and things of that nature. We found out that some 18th Street people were tagging up in that area, and we've been talking to the gang unit, we've been talking to Dunwoody. The gang unit holds a monthly intelligence in the city of Norcross. It's very, we get people from all over the metro area that come in. They select a topic, but then everybody goes in and they share about their cases, connections, and all those things. So as far as heavy, yes, we have them. There's gangs everywhere. this area, I would say, and I think the numbers say anywhere from 70, 80, maybe sometimes 85%, that a lot of your crime is committed by gang members. And it is, but it's not always all violent. They break into cars. The groups that I say that come down from Atlanta, those are usually gang members. They steal a car down there, they come up here, they steal another car, and so on and so forth, and then just continue. But we're usually able to take them out and identify them pretty quickly because of the technology. I spoke of those cases. It happens a lot. As long as we get some good surveillance video to match up and put the time frame in, we're usually getting suspects very, very quickly. And then the turnaround, where we do what's called like a hot list, where we kind of flag that car because we know it's involved in criminal activity. That's how we're able to find them and take them out before they come out here and continue to repetitionally commit crimes.
So do the school resource officers have some intel on that? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, please, Sonia.
In regards to gangs and so forth, our officers, we do have some dedicated officers that are handle our gang investigations, and they do go to the gang intel meetings and so forth. And once again, it's that collaboration of information back and forth, because that's the one of the major assets is sharing of information. When you get officers together, and I start saying, yeah, you know, we're experiencing 18th Street in our school at South Gwinnett, and then one of the major Restrepo's guys will say, yes, we're experiencing it here too, and it gives that cross function where you're able to share information and gather information. But yes.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So you made the statement that 70 to 85% of crimes committed by gang members.
Yes.
Is that a national stat, a Gwinnett County stat, or?
That's kind of average nationally, I would say. I mean, they do commit a lot of crimes. You'd be surprised, you see a lot of them, you know, for those that follow social media, I mean, they're on there, they commit crimes. The carjacking series, we solved it within a week's time. And there were a bunch of juveniles out at DeKalb, and they came down here and did multiple carjackings in Peachtree corners, up at Central Precinct, down the corridor, down to 29 in Wilburn, and that whole area. And we were able, because of that technology, to hone in on them within days. We hot listed those cars, and within a week we had them basically all incarcerated, and we stopped the series of carjackings. But all the proceeds that they got, everything, they were on social media. Doing fan money, wave, drinking, drugs, guns. So it is, it's a status thing, you know, it's just changed. It's not the traditional LA where you have, you know, the avenues in the street, you stop at 18th Street there. Social media has just expanded a whole lot, and it allows them to really get real bold as far as wanting to kind of show the world who they are, who they rep, and what they're about. Starting back. Sir, yellow shirt.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Question about how you view pool tennis property. I live in River Station.
Yeah.
We have a pool tennis facility there.
Yeah.
We pay our dues each year in order to keep it up, pay the taxes, all the rest of that. Is that considered private property, just like my front yard? And would you react the same way if I made a call?
Yeah, if you call 911, we're coming. That's the beauty, that you call 911, we're gonna send a car.
Can we have a conversation about?
Yes, actually, someone had just talked to me about that, so yes, afterwards, if you get with me, we'll talk in depth about that, yes, sir.
Thanks.
Sir, the blue shirt, yes, sir.
How were those arrests that were made on the street right here?
Yes.
How long were those perpetrators held and what happens to their car?
So several few days, some of them, I had them coming up doing the walk of shame inside the precinct. Excuse me, I'd like my phone, where's my car? So, but I think some of them up to 3 days, some stayed a little longer. We charge them with an actual state charge on all those. So it's kind of a high, kind of aggravated misdemeanor crime. And as far as I know, obviously it bothers you, but it also, the solicitor, as well as the DA's office, we've worked hand in hand. We're trying to come to an agreement to kind of how we're gonna handle the cars. I'm hoping that, you know, we'll be able to, but there's other things that need to be adopted. Some of the other things that you're seeing are like the city of Atlanta adopting those aggressive ordinances where they keep the cars for a period of time and all those things. So we're just, the government's a little bit different because we're a county and not a city. So those are things that are kind of in the works to see. And then of course you have legislators that are constantly working, trying to create laws that are a little bit more aggressive and, you know, So if we get them actual street racing, like doing some sort of an overt act, then we could typically hold on to those for the period from when they're arrested until when it goes to court. So that could be 30, 60, up to 90 days. Yes, sir. I hope that answers your question. Yes, ma'am.
In the news story, it stated that there were some juveniles there who were allowed alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
How old?
I think the youngest one we had was 14. It was in that 14, 15, 16 range. And yeah, I would say I think we did. I took a lot of them to the bathroom in the woods, so I'm assuming that they were scared. At least I think they were. I hope they were. Either that, they were really good actors. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel like when you make an arrest that you get cooperation from Gwinnett County DA's office that you think will actually prison people that feel inappropriate after the trial? Or are they just put a revolving door? Do you feel like
No, I think they understand the seriousness of this issue. I think this bothers everyone on every level, no matter what, social, economic, where you're at. It's dangerous. They come out here, there's instances where people have gotten killed, people have presented guns, people have gotten shot. I mean, it's terrible all around. So,
general crime in Gwinnett County, we work so hard to
yeah.
people.
If you're getting at like maybe kind of like other cities across America, no, absolutely not. I think it's the complete opposite here in Gwinnett County. We really do get a lot of support from our solicitors, DAs. We work very, very well hand in hand together for sure. Yes, ma'am in the back.
Is there a human trafficking issue?
Okay. How can I best? Does it exist? Yes. Those cases are unfortunately very, very hard to prove. We do have a dedicated unit within the police department that handles that, and there's been instances where they were able to make arrests for human trafficking. However, a lot of that has to do with instances of the ones that are victims in those actually coming forward and saying that they're being trafficked. Unless those cases are hard to build, but it does exist. Unfortunately, the great thing about Gwinnett was in the 90s when the Olympics came to town, a lot of construction came, a lot of development came, and with that, a lot of extended stay hotels came. And during that time, there was a lot of hardworking people that would go there. There's still hardworking people there, but it also kind of brings some people that want to be transient into those areas, and they bring their not so nice things with them and do things that most of us here in the room probably wouldn't be doing. And so, but that's our job. We go out, we use the technologies, we gather intelligence, we make those arrests, and we try to make those places as safe as possible for the people that stay there and the people that are traveling through those areas as well. Anyone else?
Do you find that most of the street racers are coming from other communities, or?
Yeah, I will tell you, the group that we stopped that got all those, we had people from Meriwether County, we had people from all the way in Canton. I would say probably about 50, 60%. And it seems like it was the crew that was from Easter Sunday, because they started there, and we tracked their movements kind of all the way down through there. And so it kind of made it easier, because why is a kid from Meriwether County at 12 midnight sitting on the Peachtree corners in Spalding Drive? So that's kind of hard to explain. So, yes, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yeah. Sure. That's why I'm still a cop after 25 years. All that cool stuff. I get you.
Kids roll around there,
Yeah.
turn on the siren, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was great. I'm just wondering if we wanted an event like that.
So we actually host several events like that throughout the year, and hopefully Camacho will be able to tell you those. But we just got done with the Multicultural Festival up at Gwinnett Place Mall. We do the Fall Festival. The precincts themselves run. Back in 2015, I did kind of what started the Multicultural Fest, and then it kind of went to the International Festival. We actually held that at Lucky Shoals Drive Lucky Shoals Park back in 2014, 2015. And it was kind of on that side of the Hispanic community. They were falling victim to a lot of robberies, and we kind of wanted to get a campaign, get them out, because sometimes they're a little bit apprehensive because of where sometimes they come from to deal with the police. Culture's a little bit different in other countries than here in the United States, and that went really well, and that's the biggest thing. We can't really tackle crime if we don't know the crime's happening, so we really need people to report those things and bring those things to our attention so we can put the proper resources on top of those things quickly. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. Anyone have any? Oh, there we go. Yes, ma'am.
What's the date of the festival this year?
Which one?
The festival.
So the fall festival is in the fall. They usually hold it up at, it's Chief, you know when we hold the fall festival?
October 1st.
She's asking about the fall festival, I think. October 1st, man. It's really good. And the one that we just held, just like he had asked, I mean, were people hanging out, putting like helmets on for the helicopters. They were able to touch the bomb equipment. It really is a great experience for kids and adults alike. Just kind of really want to see what, you know, the police department's about, what we do, and give that, you know, that kind of platform to kind of what we're doing here today is exchanging back and forth. Wonderful. Yes, sir.
Speaking of that, you like the community build Citizens Police Academy.
Citizens Police Academy. Wonderful. We have one. It's a great program, but all the particulars of it, see, you're getting with me because I got a crush con. Now, as far as the back stuff, that guy's the guy. So I'm going to refer because he's going to do a whole lot better. That's what he does for a living. He's part of our community affairs unit, but he's assigned to West Precinct. So I will let Corporal Camacho here momentarily ask those side questions of the house. Okay. I'm going to steal the water because you guys warm me out. Oh, I got another one. All right, hold on. I'll put that down. Go ahead.
So this is just off topic since
Yeah, sure.
everyone's talking about events, but does the police department offer like walkthroughs for Girl Scouts?
Yes, we should do it. I think we've done that absolutely, yeah, for sure. So if you'll get with Corporal Camacho after that, we can definitely make that happen. Thank you. All right. Does anyone have anything else? Going once, going twice? Oh, there we go. All right. Go ahead, man. Right. So I'll leave that particular question on the school level, and then I'll answer unhonored as far as what we do as far as the police department to address those type of issues.
Thank you. I think you were talking about how we, and I was trying to hear, yes, a major advantage that we have with the school police department is that we're almost going to see your kids more than you see them during the day, okay? And that's a huge thing that we push, is that our officers are out in the hallways, engaging the students, teaching classes, mentoring, doing those little types of things, building those relationships that if a student has a problem, they feel comfortable coming to the officer and expressing it and so forth. So yes, if we do encounter a student, if a student has a discipline issue, say an anger issue or assaults another student at the school, we'll work in conjunction with the social workers if they need to come in, the school counselors and so forth. And then if that individual does per se get criminal charges, say a juvenile, and they go to juvenile court, then we'll also reach out to the DA's office, the assistant district attorney that will be handling that case, and see if we can get them some type of resources, be it anger management, whichever it is, because quite frequently you'll see, and we've all made mistakes in life, and they'll make a mistake, and we want them to learn from it and get back into school and get back on track to being successful and so forth. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as of recently, you may or may have not seen an article, but the police department, and this is going on a lot, a nationwide trend, I guess you could say, for mental health issues. Obviously, the thing that happened in Uvalde, terrible, no matter what side of the political realm you're on, it's terrible. You could probably equate that to some sort of mental health issue. Obviously, the preliminary stuff, they're showing that there were some signs, there were things of that nature. My time in homicide, it's a homicide assault, so we handled homicides as well as assaults and things of that nature. Anytime a school threat or anything came in, I made it a priority for people to go knock on the door right away. We didn't want to be that, hey, wait, let's kind of do some surveillance with. No, let's go knock on the door, find out who it is, find out who his parents are, and go, hey, we got this threat, what's going on? That's the way you got to do it. I mean, at a minimum, you're scared, you put them on notice. You don't watch them from afar, and then something terrible happens. So, as far as with Tony, when they do those things, we collaborate a lot, and then we end up getting that information out to the officers. We flag it in CAD calls. All those things are very important. Now, as far as the behavioral unit, we just started one recently, and the goal is to eventually have a clinician as well as a specially trained officer in that at each precinct to be able to respond to those people that are having issues with mental health. And so far, we've had some really, really good ones. I can tell you one at the precinct, probably several months ago, there was a individual that went on a rooftop. The officers went on the rooftop with the clinician. He thought there were gang members in the roof trying to get to him. They ended up tackling and tasing him. Luckily, in the process, the officers with them did not fall off the roof, but it did get very hairy. But they were to get him to help. The clinician was there. He's actually a doctor, could administer, sedated him. We were able to get him off the roof. That could have ended really bad in a whole kind of different ways, but because you had those trained professionals there, we kicked off this program. It really heights what the really good thing we can do to de-escalate something as terrible as that was going on. So, but yeah, our plan is to move forward with that program, expand it, and then I'd be more than happy to get you some more particulars on that if you'd like. Does anyone have anything else? Okay. I'm going to hand it over to Corporal Camacho, who's going to hopefully answer all those questions that you guys still have.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Corporal Camacho, Gwinnett County Police. Just FYI, I have a bit of an accent, and it's gonna come out tonight a lot because my bosses are right here, so the pressure's on, okay? So, to answer the question in the back, yes, we do activities as such with children. We go to daycares, we go to elementary schools, we go to parks, and we let the kids come onto our cars, and they play with the lights, play with the sirens, they take pictures with us behind the stickers, they have a great time. We do something called Cop at a Corner, and we go to multiple locations in the county, in all the districts, and we'll basically just stand there with a table full of goodies, and we're just there answering questions for like 2 to 3 hours. And we get a lot of people coming up here, and they ask a bunch of questions. We help them, even with reports, we help them with that as well. So, my cop communities, once I have one here, I'm planning one on Grace Park. I will let you guys know, send you guys an email. Who is here from the COPS program? Oh, God, a lot of you guys. Okay. All right. So, this is great. Thank you for being here. Mayor, thank you for having me over here. I really appreciate it. I have to have a presentation. I know some of you guys need to leave soon, so I will go through it as quick as I can. But again, I have to slow it down because, the accent thing. So, all right. So, what basically the benefits of being in the COPS program is you get educated. A really good thing that we have is technology, and I think Restrepo said it helps minimizing crime. But the other most important thing is being informed, information. How do you minimize crime in your area? And that is by being educated, right? So this is what we do. We go to class, we go to Florida out of state, we take training on safety and on crime prevention topics, and we come back over here and we teach you guys through our COPS meetings or going through it as such, okay? We'll teach you guys how to recognize, specific problems in your areas. So that, like a suspicious person walking around, looking around the neighborhood, trying to pick on your car or garage or whatnot. So you'll be able to recognize things like that. The other good thing is it creates an avenue to know your neighbors. Okay, once you're in the COPS program, you get the chance of exchanging phone numbers, exchanging emails, which is really great when you go out on vacation, right? Hey, Mayor, I'm gonna go out to Puerto Rico for seven days, hopefully. Can you please watch my house? Here's my phone number, here's my email, hey, something happens, let me know, or something like that. So it's very helpful to have that communication with your neighbors. You don't have to do that with every single neighbor in your community. Some neighborhoods here have like 700 plus houses, so don't do that. But at least with the ones that are adjacent to you, it's a good thing to do. Now, we need 3 things to stay in the COPS program, okay? Number 1 is, of course, our meeting with me, which is this one right here. So whoever's here for the COPS program, this will be counted. The second thing is to have your community event. A lot of people call it the block party. It's not necessarily a block party. It can be a gathering at a home, watching the Super Bowl, or just having a movie night or anything like that. Send me an email, invite me. I do try to come to those. Sometimes I can't, that's fine. Just send me some pictures, send me in your head. We just have our activity this day at this time, and we'll log it in. And of course, having the annual festival, which is going to be on October 1st at 10 a.m. on the Rayfield. Okay? Now, COPS program. It is not a vigilante force. And I highlighted those 3 in red because I do get some phone calls and I do get some questions. Okay? So let me put it this way. If you see crime in your area, you are not Batman. Do not put your cowl on, your belt, and go fight crime. Please don't do that. You are basically our eyes and ears. If you see something, call 911. If you don't think it's an emergency, you call it non-emergency number. Okay? Or you can call me, send me an email, I have a question about this, and I'll gladly answer your question. Okay? Somebody in the back had a question about people coming into the pool area, in the private property, and such. We do get some phone calls saying, hey, I have these kids coming over and they're smoking marijuana. Great. Thank you for letting me know. Call the cops. 911, right? Don't go over there with your phone saying, I'm going to bring proof, I'm going to start recording them, because things can happen. There have been incidents in the past in which someone pull a phone out and start recording whoever's at the pool area after hours or whatnot, and the people who are being recorded do not like it, and an altercation happens. We don't want that, okay? We just want you guys to call us. If you feel the necessity of taking a picture because it happens often or something like that, if you are from a safe distance and not notice, you can pull your phone, just snap a picture, and you can send it to the officers, or just let them know when the officers get there. But please don't try to address these people saying, I'm in the COPS program, you need to leave. Don't do that. Please don't. Okay? Yes, it is not a guarantee that your neighborhood will be free of crime. That is true. But being in the program, we can teach you guys how to minimize it by informing you guys how to prevent that from happening in your neighborhoods. Okay? Whoops. There we go. So, vehicle safety, we have had some concerns about vehicle entries in the area. It does happen, unfortunately. So here's just a few tips, and these things are very simple to do, and this will minimize crimes in your area. So, when you get home, what do you gotta do? Lock your car, right? A lot of us live in nice neighborhoods. Nothing happens. My neighbors are there. They watch my car. I watch their car. It's fine. And we get complacent. We go inside our home. Next thing you know, we get up in the morning and the car's open and everything's just ransacked and your articles are gone. Okay? Not because you are in a nice neighborhood per se. Okay? You need to be complacent. Okay? Just always be in that constant awareness of something may happen. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, next week, or maybe a few months down the road. So, lock your vehicles. Make sure your windows are closed completely. Check your door handles. A lot of us just click and walk away. No, click, talk on the door handle. Make sure that it's locked. Okay? Don't leave any valuables inside. So nothing should be visible. A lot of us guilty. What do we leave? GPSs, phone chargers, our Oakleys. It's like $200, right? iPads. I've seen that. We did a canvas, Pleasant Hill, not long ago. You will not believe how many people leave like desktop computers and flat screen TVs in the back of the cars. Yes, it happened. And then they're the ones calling us saying, officer, I don't know what happened. Well, you just left the baby inside the car. We don't tell them that though. So if you have any articles in there, just remove them, take it out of there, okay? If you don't want to take them out, that's fine, because, sometimes you might take it out, in your house, come back in the car and drive away. Oh, I forgot my GPS. Hide it. Put it underneath your seat or in the glove box. Just make sure you don't leave it visible, because you don't want to tempt these criminals to go ahead and break in your car, okay? Now, another big one, and I'm going to go into this in a little bit. A lot of us have garage openers, right? And they're basically, I have one, and they're basically right device, okay? So what about you park your car and leave it unlocked? At night, 3 a.m. in the morning, somebody comes in, what do? Open the car, hit the button, go inside the garage and they can steal whatever, or even burglarize your home, right? Start taking articles and stuff like that. So, there was actually worked incident when I was working on the North Precinct. The husband brought a brand new car, left the clicker, left the vehicle unlocked, and they just walked inside. They get up the next morning, and the wife's car, which was inside the garage, was gone. So what happened was, the suspect went in, he hit the garage clicker, went inside, he saw the car in the garage, opened the door, the keys are in the ignition, turn it on, and just drove off, just like that. And I was so sad, I was so upset about it. I was like, what can you tell me? It's very simple. Get the keys out of the ignition, take your clicker with you, and just lock your car. Don't leave it visible. Okay? Very simple things, guys. So, burglary. This is the other thing. Remember with the clicker, you click in, go into the garage, right? So, a good thing to have is have a good security cameras. Have a good alarm system that is working. Please make sure that it works. Have your alarm system tested maybe twice a month. Make sure that it's actually working. Okay. I have happened to several calls in which the sensors don't have a battery, or the battery is just dead. They don't work. So what happened to the burglar? He has all the time in the world to take out whatever items he can. Right. So there was an incident not too long ago. In one of our cops communities, there was a gentleman who had cameras, and he had an alarm system. I was happening to be in the area, and I spoke to him after the fact. So he was in awe because his alarm system didn't work. Well, the batteries were dead on the sensors. And the cameras, for some reason, were unplugged, so they were not working. Yeah. And he was so sad. I felt for him. They stole about 5 pairs of shoes, $250 a piece. Yeah, and PlayStation and some more stuff. So it's not good. Okay, so make sure that it works. If you have valuables in your home, take pictures of them. Jewelry, TVs, electronics. That's a big one. Take a picture of the actual item and take a picture of the serial number, or just write it down in a notebook or whatever. Especially if you have guns as well. Some of us do have guns. Take a picture of it. Take a picture of the serial number as well. Why? Because God forbid this happens to you, and the officer has to take a report. That's valuable information that the officer needs to make a report, and actually help detectives to get a lead on the case to either get your stuff back or get a criminal and stuff like that, right? Because what do these criminals do at times? They go to pawn shops and they sell their stuff, right? So what the pawn shops have? They have cameras, right? Okay. When you sell something to a pawn shop, you have to submit your ID. They got to make a copy of it, right? Okay, so let's say someone stole your VCO 75-inch TV, right? So theft comes up a few weeks down the line, and he just follow the trace, and you were able to get you got a picture, you have your serial number, and he happened to be in a pawn shop, and he just asked, hey, do you have this item? I have one just like it, it's right here. Let me see the serial number. They match it, that's it. When do you have this sold to you? Last Wednesday. Can I see your cameras? Great, thank you. And they cooperate with us. It shows the camera. We get a time frame. We get a picture of the person who sold the item. Maybe they have a camera outside where they can see the vehicle, the tag of the vehicle. Those are things that detectives use to continue the process of investigation. So those are really good things to have. Okay. Don't have a large amount of money at home. A lot of us, we don't believe in banks, so we put them all underneath our mattress, all our money, right? Or in a bag and bury it in the backyard. Yeah, I had a family member who did that back in Puerto Rico. Yeah, not good. It was stolen. It was. Try not to have a large amount of money. I'm guilty of using cash. I always use cash because I'm using credit card because, you prevent yourself from being, scammed or get your information stolen. So I'm old school. I always use cash. Okay? If you see my wallet, I have $100 in there. So, just in case. If you do, don't tell people they have that amount of money in there. Please don't do that. Don't start bragging about how many Benjamins you have in your house. Don't do that. Okay? The thing is, make sure that your house is well lit, especially at night. If you're a criminal, what do criminals like to do? They operate in what? Darkness, right? Ooh, the house has no lights, so I want to go right in there because what? Nobody can see me, right? But if you have a well lit home, that deters them from walking towards your house, right? Because they know what they're doing. So if you leave your porch light on, the one in the rear as well, okay? If you see anything suspicious, please report it, okay? I have calls. Hey, Officer Camacho, there was this lady that jumped the fence in my neighbor's home. Really? When did this happen? 2 weeks ago. Whoa, why are you calling me for it? No, call 911. Please call 911. Going back to the vacation thing, if you are going on vacation and you're having a family member that is coming to check your house, let your neighbors know. You don't want your neighbor calling on your cousin Rita checking on your house, okay? So please let them know, hey, Rita's coming on Wednesday to check the home, all right? Avoid having packages delivered at your home if you're not there, okay? What do we have now? Package pirates, right? Force pirates, right? Everybody is, I shop at Amazon from time to time. Packages come up here and sometimes they just sit there the whole day. Try not to give them, that opportunity to see your package, or even that, excuse me, or, don't give it that curiosity. Hey, I see something in there. Let me go check. Ooh, that's a package. Let me go grab it. If you're not home, let your neighbor know, hey, I just got a delivery, or my delivery is about to be there. Can you please pick up my package and just hold it for me? I'm gonna go grab it from you later tonight, okay? Or make sure that if you are going to have a package delivered to you, that you're home to receive it, okay? Another thing is, the newest, biggest TV come out at Best Buy. I'm gonna go grab it, I'm gonna go buy it. You bought it, you install it, you hooked it up on the wall. It looks fantastic. What are you gonna do with the box later on? You're gonna throw it away. A lot of us, what do? We put it outside, right next to the trash can. So criminals are driving by and they're like, oh, okay. I'm gonna watch that house for a couple of days. I'm gonna see when he or she leaves, and when they come back, know their routine. And when they're not home, I'm gonna go in and just rip that TV off and just take it home with me. Grab those boxes, shred them with a knife, or do whatever you need to do, and just put them in a bag. Just take a big trash bag, put it inside your trash cans. Don't leave it outside. Remember, you don't want to tempt the criminals to get into your home. All right? So let's move on to robbery. Of course, always be alert of your surroundings. What do a lot of us have right now? Phones. And a lot of us are guilty of just being on it all the time, right? So try to be attentive of where you're going, where you're walking. You don't want to be walking on your phone all the time. Okay, you might be walking and there's this big bush or there's like this wall over here. You're walking on your phone and then this guy just jumps out. Give me all your money, right? So be attentive. Don't be on your phone if you don't have to. Just walk around, take a look, and just keep going. Okay? Travel on routes that are busy, well lit. Why? Busy means more people. More people means what? Witnesses. Okay? When these criminals try to attack you, what do they want? They want you to be alone. Okay? Because you're an easy target, right? When you're alone. Another thing is, don't try to be go out shopping by yourself sometimes. Okay? Or even when it's dark. All right? Especially like on the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. What do? Oh, I gotta go to Macy's to buy shoes for my grandma. Oh, I gotta go to the mall and I have to buy a wallet for my dad. And we shop, right, by ourselves. What do criminals do? They watch you, okay? They see you going in. All right, she went to Macy's, she went to Ross, she went here, and there, and she's coming back to put the packages inside the car. All right, So on this last trip that she's coming, I'm gonna go just stand by in here, mind my business, she's coming in, they get you, okay? So, but if you're with 2, 3, even 4 people, there's a lower chance of you getting robbed, okay? Now, avoid displaying and carrying large sums of money in public. A lot of us are guilty of what? Paying cash. You go to Best Buy or whatever, and the TV is like $800, and you pull out $1,000, right there. People are watching you. They're like, oh man, if he has that kind of money, he has to have more in his car, he has to have more in his home. I'm gonna follow this guy, and when my chance is there, I'm gonna go take it, I'm gonna rob this dude, right? So please, don't do that, okay? When it's a large amount of money, just pay with your card, credit card, or whatnot. Don't try to pull a large amount of money. Keep your purse and wallet close to you. A lot of us have it on our back pocket. Just put it on the front, or pocket right here, okay? Because you may be just in awe looking at the new technology coming up here. Somebody can just be like, whoop, gone, okay? My grandmother's sister back in Puerto Rico had 10 grand stolen from her at a grocery store. There was this older lady who kept telling her, hey, can you give me that big can back there? No, not that, the other one. And my grandmother's sister had her purse right here, it was open, right? They were watching her. They knew that she went to the bank and just took out some money, right? So what she was doing with that, she grabbed like 3 cans. Next thing she knows, she's done, you're welcome, have a nice day. She goes back to pay, money's gone, okay? So don't have a lot, yeah, it happened. And she cried for weeks. Oh yeah, 10 grand, it hurts, it hurts. Now, this is a really big one. If a suspect claims that they are armed, believe them. Do not put your life at risk, okay? Don't do that. If they go old school and they have like a makeshift handgun underneath their pocket like this, believe them, okay? Believe it, that's a gun. Don't be like, you're lying, I'm gonna walk away. No, or don't try to grab the gun or the knife. Don't do that, okay? Even us as police officers, they try not to do that. We don't grab guns or we don't grab knives like that, okay? We don't get close to people, okay? So what happened is, what you should do is just cooperate with them, give them whatever they want. Remember, your items, they can be replaced. Your life cannot be replaced, right? So there we go. I'm jumping ahead of myself right here. So if you're confronted, just cooperate with the person. In the meantime, I know it's hard for some of us because of a very stressful situation. Your adrenaline is pumping. You're thinking about your life. You're thinking about your family. How am I going to get home? Is he going to shoot me? Is he going to not? Whatever, right? I know it's hard, but God forbid it happens to you. If it does, try to get a good description of the person. Okay? Is he tall? Is he short? What color of the skin they have? Right? They have tattoos. Are they wearing a mask? What kind of haircut they have? What are they wearing? What direction they ran to? Did they hop on a car? What kind of car was it? Okay? Just whatever you can that can help us help you with the rapport and trying to catch this criminal. Okay? So again, money and personal items that can be replaced. So don't fight for it. It sucks to be robbed and taking your hard-earned cash or items, but just let it happen, okay? Because your life is more important than your stuff. You can always buy your stuff back, right? Now, if you are the victim of robbery, please let us know. A lot of us may be embarrassed. A lot of us may not want to talk to the police. Please call us. Please call us. Even if you're like, well, what are they going to do? I didn't see the guy. He had a mask all over his face. I don't know where he went or if he got into a car. I have nothing. Why am I going to call him? That doesn't matter. Please call us. We'll make a report for you. It also helps us to build a history of incidents so we can send officers to be in that area. Okay? So please, if it does happen, God forbid, please let us know. Okay? Any questions with that? Yes, ma'am.
Are these slides available online so we can share with our neighbors?
I will leave my card right here. I have a bunch of them actually. So if you want to shoot me an email, I can send this PowerPoint to you. Okay? Yes, I actually have flyers too, so I'll send you the flyers as well. It have the same information over here. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was robbed once, and my girlfriend was robbed up in New Jersey.
Yes.
The thing with both of us, we walked into the house,
out of the house. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So some of us do have, our ways to hide our money and stuff. Like I said, I don't recommend hiding a lot of money, cash in your home because it can happen. And like I said before, criminals, they watch you. They learn your routine. When you leave for work, when you come back from work. So it's a good thing to change that. If you need to leave at 7:30 to be at work at 8, leave at 7:15. Maybe leave at 7:45. Let your boss know, hey, I'm gonna be a little late today. Come back a little early from work, come back a little late. Take a different route to work and from work. So you don't want them to know your routine, okay? And yes, please don't put your money in the freezer. I was messing with you. Yes, ma'am? Oh, sorry.
Talking about garage openers and how you can program, in your car. So if you do leave your car in the driveway, not in the garage, should you just lock it even though you have the program? Obviously, you can program those buttons to open your garage.
Yes. So, do you mean the buttons that are next to the garage door?
No, the buttons that are in your car.
Oh, in the car. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm just
So,
trying to find out what do you suggest, because obviously if your buttons in the car are programmed and they break into your car, they can still push the button and open the garage.
right.
I mean, you can always lock the door from
Yes.
your house, which we do, from your house to your garage, but then
Right.
they're still getting in your garage.
Yes. So, first thing, if you have space in your garage, of course, keep your car in your garage. The garage doors do have that locking mechanism. You can just lock that, but you gotta be careful not to open your garage door when the lock is in there, otherwise the motor's gonna get ripped off. Okay? And of course, I wouldn't let people know about my number unless it's somebody that I trust. And if you are telling that person that number, make sure that there's nobody around to listen. Okay?
No, I'm not talking about the number, I'm just talking about the buttons by the mirror in the car that you push. It's not a
So-
specific number, they're programmed.
Yes.
A lot of cars come with it.
So you're talking about the actual clicker? Oh no, 'cause I'm not familiar with that. Oh, programming. Yeah, I mean, it's not much unless you start telling people that you have it. I wouldn't tell people, hey, I got a new car that has this new feature. I wouldn't do that, but yeah, to do that, my personal opinion, I would use that feature. Because it's nothing you can take out of your car with you. It's already in there and it will stay in there. So I wouldn't even use it. I'll just go with a regular clicker. Or if you don't want to use a clicker, use your phone. Your phone, you have garage openers now that have that feature. You can download an app. You just press a button for it and it'll open the garage door for you. Yeah, I would not use that feature at all. That's me. Yes, ma'am.
So when you were talking about people paying attention to their routines, when I lived in Minnesota a long time ago, my mom used to run the same routine every single day at the exact same time. And one day a bus driver stopped and told her to get her butt on the car in the bus and said, "You've had a guy following you for the last 3 days. Stop running the same path."
Wow.
In
Yes.
Peachtree Corners, we have a lot of people who love to walk. They love to walk about the same time every day. They do the same thing. Change up the routine. Change the people you walk with.
Yes.
That was just one thing, because I've actually watched people walk. I live on Winters Chapel. Walk the same path the last couple weeks because it's nice. Single ladies out there walking about the same time every day, and I'm like, hey, change it up. Do a different routine. Do something else.
Thank you for that. No, I really appreciate that. And it goes to the simplest thing, going out for a jog or just walking your dog. Oh, it's 9:30, Mrs. Johnson's gonna walk Sparky out. So, try to change your routine a little bit. So thank you very much for that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. So I'm a big proponent of, defending yourself when you can, when it's safe to do so, So if you would like to carry pepper spray, if you're comfortable with that, yes, I would recommend you carry one, although try to practice with it too, okay? Not that you have to start, squirting everybody with it. I need to practice. No, don't do that. But, try to, practice and see how long it takes you to grab it from your purse, where you're gonna put put it? Is it gonna be close to your, to your person or your purse? Because if you keep it in your purse, you know, like, oh my God, hang on, let me just, I can't find anything in here, you know? So try to have it like on a keychain. Time out, brother, hang on a second, you know? So try to have it accessible to you. Like if you know you're gonna go to different places in one day, you know, keep it in your hands, have a bracelet, just hang it off from there, just keep it on you, you know? If you are going out and you're gonna be out for a while, yes. But then again, you wanna be out with someone, you know, with you, with a family member or whatnot, but yes. Some of us, you know, we carry guns, we carry small pocket knives, you know. I do recommend you defending yourself, definitely. When I'm on, you know, not on duty, civilian clothes, and I go out, maybe a day or two, I left my gun. I literally just turn around, like, nope. I turn around, I could be halfway down anywhere I need to be, I just turn around and go get it. Because me personally, I like to have something to defend myself. I'm not the biggest guy, I'm only 5'5". Hang on a second. My license is 5'6". That's between us. Thank you very much. But yeah, if you feel comfortable with having something to defend yourself, try to practice with it to see how fast you can grab it to defend yourself, and continue practicing. No, because remember, they're already coming at you with their gun out. You're not gonna be like, oh, you know what are they gonna do? They can shoot you, they can try and stab you or something like that, so you don't want to have them have to do something towards you, you know, to eliminate you from defending yourself, okay? So if you already see them coming at you, you know, they're coming at you with a knife or the gun, hey man, here's my purse, here's my phone, here's my social security card, have a nice day, okay? Because remember, your life is more valuable than the items, right? So, but then again, there will be some situations and you can be putting your stuff and he might be trying to grab it from behind. You know, you want to do some elbows and some kicks, and you pull your pepper spray and you start spraying him. But again, if he's coming at you with a weapon, I will not do that. Okay. Anybody else? No? All right, well, thank you so much.
I'd like for all of our officers just to stand so we can recognize y'all. We appreciate everything y'all do for us in our community and keeping us safe. And one of the biggest things I just wanted to mention too is, and I learned this coming to these meetings before I was with UPCCA, is if you do have something happen in your home, you do need to call, because that affects their patrols, it affects what they're looking for. So if you think, oh, some kid's looking for change in my car, it's not a big deal, that doesn't become a statistic, and it doesn't become part of their increasing their routes and patrols in your neighborhood or something like that. So please make sure, because that's what I was thinking in my mind, because that happened to me and at a restaurant, and they said, no, you need to let everybody know. So please make sure you do that. So thank y'all for coming out this evening. We appreciate it. And we will not have a program next month with being June for the summer, but we're looking to bring something in July. So stay tuned, and thank y'all so much. And thank you to the city and the mayor and Brian and Chris, thank you. We appreciate it.